Uh, Hello, everyone. Welcome to this new episode. Today, we're going to continue from where we have left off. We're going to read the rational male. We're still in the chapter one. We are going to read the cardinal rule of relationship. Please excuse my outfit. I just came from the gym and I have a very limited time to be with you. So, you gotta have to see me like this. And it also motivates me to be like this because I look at myself and I feel like I need to put in more work. Anyway, so before we start, I'm just going to introduce the episode for my Turkish listeners, which is probably all of you, but some English speakers will be watching this video as well. So I will be back with you. Merhaba arkadaşlar, hoş geldiniz. Bu bölümde dediğim gibi The Rational Male kitabını orijinal diliyle okumaya devam edeceğiz. Tamamen İngilizce bir bölüm olacak. Eğer İngilizceden hiç anlamıyorsanız bu bölüm size göre değil. Üzgünüm. Ama dinleyerek kendinizi geliştirmek istiyorsanız kalabilirsiniz. Bu bölüm İngilizce anlayan, akıcı İngilizcesi olan insanlar için olacak. Ne yapacağız? The Rational Male kitabını kaldığımız yerden devam edeceğiz. Red dili kaynağından okuyoruz İngilizce bir şekilde. Bunu neden yapıyorum? İngilizcemi geliştirmek için. Benim için de bir fayda oluyor. Aynı zamanda arkadaşları orijinal kaynakları tanıtmış oluyorum. Türkçe olarak da bunları açıklamasını yapacağım. Fakat zor. Takdir edersiniz ki Türkçesini okumak, özellikle Rollo Tomassi'nin çevirilerini tamamen ana diliyle yani kelime anlamını koruyarak yapmak çok zor. Normalde kitabın çevirilerine başlamıştım ama çok fazla zaman aldığı için çeviriyi bıraktım. O yüzden şimdi İngilizce kaynaklarını okuyacağım. İngilizcesi akıcı olan arkadaşlar için iyi seyirler diliyorum. Olmayanlar için de Türkçe başka bir bölümde görüşmek üzere. Okay, let's continue. The cardinal rule of relationships. In any relationship, the person with the most power is the one who needs the other the least. This is a foundation of any relationship, not just intersexual ones, but family, business, etc. relationships as well. It is a dynamic that is always in effect. For my own well-being, and that of my family's, I need my employer more than he needs me. Ergo, I get up for work in the morning and work for him. While I am also a vital part for the interrupted continuance of his company and endeavors, he simply needs me less than I need him. Now I could win the lottery tomorrow, or he may decide to cut my pay or limit my benefits, or I may complete my master's degree and decide that I can do better than to keep myself yoked to his cart indefinitely, thereby, through some condition, either initiated by myself or not, I am put into a position of needing him less than he needs me. At this point, he is forced into a position of evaluating my necessity to his future ambitions and either part ways with me or negotiate a furtherance of our relationship. So this is a very important dynamic, and as Rollo Tomassi says, this is a reality of relationships of any kind. Even when we look at the relationship we have with God, for example, God needs us less than we need him. He doesn't need us, right? But we need him. So in every relationship, there is someone that needs the other the least, and this is the case in every single relationship, in romantic ones, in business ones, in spiritual ones, in every single relationship that exists. There's always one part that needs the other one the least. And there is no way to make this in equal terms. This is a feminist fantasy where all the partners are equal and, we are equal partners, right? That doesn't exist. Okay? And most likely, if you believe that your relationship, as a man, if you believe that your relationship is equal, you'll probably need the woman you're with more than the woman needs you. So probably the woman has the frame and she leads you, because this is how women establish dominance throughout the relationship, by claiming equality. But there's no way of being equal. And even when you analyze this in biblical terms, I think Paul calls us men to love our wives as Christ loved his church, right? And when you look at the relationship between Christ and his church, Christ is the one that doesn't need the church, but church is the one that needs Christ, right? So the Bible says that you should look at this relationship as an example of how you are going to live your relationship with your wife. So it literally tells you to need your woman less than you need than she needs her. Of course, we're not Christ, so we are going to need our wives as much as our wives are going to need us. But it literally tells us that we should need her less than she needs us, right? So this is actually in everywhere, everything, because as us men, we need to be the leader of our household. And for us to be leaders of our household, we need to be in a less need of our spouse than our spouse to be in need of us, right? So I think it is a very important thing to be understood. Continue. The same plays true for intersexual relationships. Whether you want to base your relationship on power or not isn't the issue. It is already in play from your first point of attraction. You are acceptable to her for meeting any number of her criteria, and she meets your own as well. If this weren't the case, you simply would not initiate a mutual relationship. This is the first comparison we make with another individual. Call it sizing up if you like, but we make innate and often unconscious comparisons about everything, and in the case of initial attraction, we decide if the other person is acceptable for our own intimacy. And this principle isn't so much about power as it is about control. This might sound like semantics, but it makes a difference. It is very easy to slip into binary arguments and think that what I mean by the cardinal rule of relationships is that one participant must absolute rule over the other, a domineering dominant to a doormat submissive. The problem with our modern interpretation of power is to think of it in extreme absolute terms. But this is not the case. As Rollo Tomassi says, the frame is like a liquid. Sometimes the dynamics change, but when you look at the overall situation, you must own the frame. Sometimes you will do what your wife wants, and sometimes she will do what you want. But in the end of the day, it must always be established that the uh, overall control of the relationship is going by you or through you. You are the leader. But a good leader also listens to the woman that she's to the people that he leads, and he cares for their needs and he takes care of them, right? But in the end of the day, it is always established that there is one leader and there's one follower. Continue. Control in a healthy relationship passes back and forth as desire and need dictate for each partner. In an unhealthy relationship, you have an unbalanced manipulation of this control by a partner. Although control is never in complete balance, it becomes manipulation when one partner, in essence, blackmails the other with what would otherwise be a reinforcer for the manipulated under a healthy circumstance. Exactly what I said. So, a healthy control is not tyranny. A good leader is not a tyrant. A good leader is not someone doesn't listen anything about the people that he's leading. That is tyranny, and that is not a good relationship, and it will not last long. This happens for a plethora different reasons, but the condition comes about by two ways. The submissive participant becomes conditioned to allow the manipulation to occur, and or the dominant initiates the manipulation. In either case, the rule still holds true. The one who needs the other the least has the most control. Ergo, you need to have the you need to need the other one the least as a guy. Nowhere is this more evident than in interpersonal relationships. Too many people who I've counseled and read my blog assume that this rule means that I am advocating the maintaining a position of dominance at the expense of their partner's best interests. Listen to this very carefully. Too many people who I've counseled and read my blog assume that this rule means that I'm advocating the maintaining a position of dominance at the expense of their partner's best interests. Far from it. So you see, you always have to take care of the best interests of your partner. That is how you can be a good leader. You need to take consideration of the best interests of your partner. I do, however, advocate that people, young men in particular, develop a better sense of self-worth and a better understanding of their true efficacy in their relationships, assuming you decide to become involved in one. Don't get me wrong, both sexes are guilty of manipulation. Battered women go back to their abusive boyfriends or husbands, and pussy-whipped men compromise themselves and their ambition to better serve their girlfriends' insecurities. My intent in promoting this rule is to open the eyes of young men who are already predisposed to devaluing themselves and placing women as the goal of their lives rather than seeing themselves as the prize to be sought after. Compromise is always going to be a part of any relationship, but what's key is realizing when that compromise becomes the result of manipulation, what is in effect, and developing the confidence to be uncompromising in those situations. This is where a firm understanding of the cardinal rule of relationships becomes essential. There's nothing wrong with backing down from an argument you have with your girlfriend, but there is something wrong when you continually compromise yourself in order to keep the peace, which is what a lot of men do, with the understanding that she'll withhold intimacy as a result of you holding your ground. That is a power play, also known as a shit test. So you see, there is no problem when you back down from an argument. But there is a problem when you do this in order to keep the peace. So she may continue to initiate the sex or the things or intimacy or the things that you want. When you do this, you are playing your moves in a position of powerlessness. You're accepting that what you need is from her, and you are obeying her because of being you are afraid that if you don't obey her, then she will take it back what you are initially addicted, right? Continue. She initiates she initiates it, thus becoming the controlling party. No woman's intimacy means sex, also, most importantly, is ever worth that compromise, because in doing so, you devalue your own worth to her. Once this precedent is set, she will progressively have less respect for you, exactly opposite of the popular conception that she'll appreciate your compromising for her and reward you for this. This is what the popular media and culture is telling you, men. But what happens is the exact opposite. And really, what are you compromising in order to achieve? And really, this is a question he's asking you. And really, what are you compromising in order to achieve? Set in this condition, you are appealing for her intimacy. That isn't genuine desire or real interest in you. It's a subtle psychological test that all too many men are unaware of, meant to determine who needs the other more. There is no more a superior confidence for a man than one with the self-understanding that he will not compromise himself for the recognized manipulations of a woman, and the fortitude to walk away knowing he has in the past and will in the future find a better prospect than her. This is the man who passes the shit test. It is called enlightened self-interest, and a principle I wholly endorse. The other day, a man asked me in my live, it was in Turkish, I think it was in my last live. He said, would it be okay for me to enter into a relationship because, like, I have a woman that wants to have sex with me and I don't want to lose her, right? So maybe I should just go into a relationship with her, even though I'm not sure if this is a right woman for me, and even though I'm not sure if I should willingly, like, give, I don't know how to call this, right? When you are entering a monogamy with a woman, you're literally closing your other options, and by doing so you are declaring that she is your only option and you will continue to be loyal with her throughout your relationship. Now, this is a virtue if you have options, but it is not a virtue if you are doing this out of um, like out of optionlessness and out of the opposite of abundance. What is it called? Yokluk mentalitesi. Wait, absence. Absence mentality. I don't know how this is called in English. We call this yokluk in Turkish. It's like when you are approaching in a relationship in a mentality of absence, which you're believing that you are absent from an intimacy and you need to secure the first woman you find, but you need to secure the first woman you want into a relationship, so you may find the things that you really want instead of looking for all of your options. A guy asked this to me, if I should do this or not, and by doing so you are literally doing it out of, first, you don't believe that you are a kind of man that could attract many women. That's why you are trying to secure the first relationship you got, instead of analyzing the woman truly, if this woman would be if this woman is a kind of person you would like to be with. But the mentality of absence is so the mentality of absence is just so in you that you are totally controlled by your desire, and the only thing you want is sex, and you don't know, like, you don't know what you want from a woman, you don't know what kind of relationship you would like, you don't know what is your boundaries, and you just enter into a relationship because, with a very basic math, what do you want is sex. Who has the sex? Woman. You see the first woman and she has the sex, okay, let's go, right? But it's usually is a kind of decision that most men will regret, because they enter into this relationship with a mentality of absence. Continue. The truth to power. Denying the utility of power, vilifying its usage, is in itself a means of using power. Real change works from the inside out. If you don't change your mind about yourself, you won't change anything else. Women can change their hair color, their makeup, clothes, breast size, and any number of cosmetic alteration on a whim or as they can afford them. But the constant discontent, the constant inadequacies they complain of are rooted in their self-perception, not how others really perceive them. This is an outside-in mentality, hoping the external will change the internal, and it's just this mentality that lesser men apply to themselves. The only difference being the application. The average frustrated chump, as Rollo Tomassi says, the AFC, for lack of a better term, has the same problem as the Wayne woman. Okay, really any woman. A lack of true self-understanding of their own problem. It is very difficult to do self-analysis and self-criticism, particularly when it comes to questioning your own beliefs and the reasons our personalities are what they are. It's akin to it's akin it's akin to telling someone they're not living their lives correctly or that they are raising their children wrong. Only it's more difficult because we are doing the telling about ourselves to ourselves. You're going? Okay. Ciao. Thank you. Self-estimation, not self-esteem, never happens spontaneously. There always has to be some crisis to prompt it. Anxiety, trauma, and crisis are necessary catalysts to stimulate self-consciousness. A breakup, a death, a betrayal, tragically, it is at these points in our lives that we do our best introspection. We have our moments of clarity and, yes, discover what abysmal, simpering chumps we've allowed ourselves to be molded into. So this is really true, right? Because this is how we take the red pill. Probably because of a trauma, probably because of a breakup. We don't realize what kind of a man we were, what kind of blue-pilled conditioning we carried in our minds throughout our lives. But we only, most of us anyway, I mean, some of us who are really intelligent, they realize this sooner, or some of us who are lucky to have a good father who teaches them how to be a man, how to engage relationships with women. They are the lucky ones, but most of us who are not really intelligent about these issues and who don't have a good father figure, we are learning these facts by a slap from the fate, as we say in Turkish. Kaderin tokatı, right? So we are learning the truth by a slap in our faces. We do something that we shouldn't have done, and we are getting betrayed, or the woman we loved and adored leaves us, and yeah, all the possible scenarios you can even imagine. By the way, you can ask all your questions about the book, or it doesn't have to be related on the book. My God, nobody's watching me through YouTube right now. That is not acceptable. Please. Continue. Denial. The first step to really unplugging from preconditioning, which means the feminine matrix, is recognizing that this conditioning has led to the beliefs we think are integral to our personalities. The psychological term for this is called ego investment. When a person internalizes a mental schema, how you read this, schema or scheme? I don't know. Internalizes a mental scheme so thoroughly and has become conditioned to it for so long, it becomes an integral part of their personality. So to attack the belief is to literally attack this person. This is why we see such a violent reaction to people's political, religious, intersocial, intersexual, intergender, etc. expressions of belief. They perceive it as a personal attack, even when presented with irrefutable empirical evidence that challenges the veracity of those beliefs. This is very interesting. Yesterday, a discussion had been made on YouTube about the Sharia law. You guys probably know this one is made there was this guy Asrın Tok. He defended the Sharia, and the other guy Diamond Tema, he defended that Sharia sucks basically, and Diamond owned him, right? And then what happened is, I think they arrested him, or something happens to him, and the government allowed it. And a lot of people showed a lot of hatred towards this guy, but what he did was simply showing what is the Sharia law, and he showed it with the their own with their own kaynak. How do you say this? God, this is exactly why I'm doing these shows in English, because it helps me to improve my English. Source, yeah, exactly. He shared Muslim sources, right? But again, the people were so like they hated him so much. Why? Because the position he was defending was a personal attack for their beliefs. I mean, it was an attack for their beliefs, not their personality per se, but they perceived it as such because they were infused with their beliefs. That is exactly the reason why they felt so much hatred against this guy. And this is exactly true when you look at it in intersexual, in the sense of in the area of intersexual relationships. When you try to unplug a guy who is so plugged into the matrix, they will hate your guts. Oh man, I can't explain this to you. How many times I encountered with this situation when I was first in this phase of unplugging myself from the matrix, learning the reality of the red pill. I am so filled with anger, right? And I am trying to share the gospel with all the men around me and showing them the truth. But almost everyone was hating me, and I was being shunned in a way that I was not expecting. I thought, look, I discovered this truth, this reality about relationships. And if I would tell them to my fellow men, they would be I would do a huge help to them. But they were the ones who hated me in the beginning. I think Rollo Tomassi explains this in White Knight's Dynamic. When you present the red pill realities to a blue pill chump, the first thing he is going to do is to hate your guts and to completely tarnish your reputation in society, and basically telling you that you should be kept in jail. You're a misogynist. You're a terrible human being. And this is who does this is the guys in the beginning. Women usually don't even feel the need of opposing these us, because usually men around them are doing this in order to enter inside of their panties. Let's just say. I'm sure most of you have experienced this. It's literally everywhere in the world. Doesn't matter the culture. It happens in Turkey. It happens in US. It happens in anywhere in the world. Continue. One common frustration that game-aware men express is how difficult it is to open an AFC's eyes as to why he's not hooking up, why he's not getting dates or second dates if he is, why he's constantly getting "let's just be friends" rejection, etc. and all the flaws in what is really ego investment internalizations. As I'm fond of saying, it is dirty work unplugging chumps from the matrix, and this is made all the more difficult when a person is in a categorical state of denial. Exactly. It's like a blue pilled chump is out there believing and internalizing and doing everything that the feminine metrics has conditioned him to do or to say, and he's constantly getting rejected. I myself have experienced this hundreds of times. I was being the nice guy, I was trying to be a gentleman, do the good thing, and I was trying not to be sexual because everybody around me was saying, like, objectifying women is wrong. Why you are looking at my breasts? Are you trying to objectify me? I'm not just a sex object, okay? I have a personality. And these kind of stuff came to a point where I was very much afraid of looking at a woman sexually. And this is happening to many men. It even happens in Turkey, which is not really a feminist society, but it is about to be, but it is not. But in US it is probably way higher. I don't know. Maybe I have some people watching me have been in both places, so you can tell me the difference. I've never been in US, so I don't know. But this is happening in everywhere. So this is part of the betatization process. And men they come to a point where it is a crime to sexualize a woman, and that's why they don't get laid, they're not hooking up, they're not getting a second date, and they're looking around and they are seeing jerks literally living in heaven, and the women who are complaining about those jerks are the ones that are being with those jerks and coming to the nice guys and crying on their shoulders about those jerks. And why every single guy who has unplugged from the lies of the matrix has experienced this, asked these questions to themselves thousands of times. I had even close friends. We lived together. Whenever a woman or a couple of women are entering into our friend circle of friends, my friends were the ones getting laid with those women. I was the one who's trying to be the gentleman, and it's like listening to them and trying to be good and nice and trying to basically become the man that feminism says the ideal man. But I was always in the friend zone. But those guys were the ones that are getting laid. And when you discuss this with women, they say, we don't know why we like this woman. We are supposed to like you. We are supposed to like a man like you. Because they don't know, most of the women don't know what kind of man their innate instincts are letting them to desire. They are also inside of a matrix as well. And their matrix is there's a type of man that feminism has conditioned them to think that is the ideal man. But that kind of a man is not compatible with what their female nature is conditioned to desire. So there's a dilemma. So that's why a lot of women out there thinking and generally believing that they should, like, the ideal man is the feminist man, is the white knight man, but they can't seem to find a reason why they can't desire those guys, but they desire the jerks, the guys that has nothing to do with the kind of man that they have been thought to desire, to love, to be in a relationship with. So that's why if you are a plugged in beta man, beta male, you're thinking, these jerk guys, they're abusing these women. These women, they're supposed to be with me, with men like me. They say they want to be with a man like me, but they're being with a completely different kind of guys. And why do you think you can't find a reason? And the only reason you can find is that those jerks are very manipulative guys. They are corrupting those angel-like beings and somehow tricking them into be with them. This is a lot of plugged-in beta males are thinking. This is what I used to think, and this is why I hated those jerk men. And this hate precisely is the reason why they can't see there are some qualities of the jerk man that makes women like that they themselves doesn't have. And that's why they are having a very hard time unplugging themselves. The jerk man is not the ideal man. So is the nice guy. But when women has to have a choice, has to choose between them, the jerk is always better than the nice guy. And unfortunately, a lot of women has to have this choice now because a lot of men are either the nice guy or the jerk. The guys that are in the middle of the spectrum are very rare. Continue. People resort to denial when recognizing that the truth would destroy something that they hold dear. In the case of a cheating partner, denial lets you avoid acknowledging evidence of your own humiliation. Short of catching a spouse in bed with your best friend, evidence of infidelity is usually ambiguous. It is motivated skepticism. You are more skeptical of things you don't want to believe and demand a higher level of proof. Denial is unconscious or it wouldn't work. If you know you're closing your eyes to the truth, some part of you knows what the truth is, and denial can't perform its protective function. One thing we all struggle to protect is a positive self image. The more important the aspect of your self image that is challenged by the truth, the more likely you are to go into denial. If you have a strong sense of self worth and competence, your self image can take hits but remain largely intact. If you are beset by self doubt, a hallmark of self righteous AFC thinking, however, any acknowledgement of failure can be devastating, and any admission of error painfully to be the point of being unthinkable. Self justification and denial arise from the dissonance between believing you're competent and making a mistake which clashes with that image. Solution: deny the mistake. Attribute it to an outside element. Women won't play by the rules. Rather than resort to introspection, maybe I'm wrong about the rules. Therefore, we see AFCs tenaciously cling to a moralistic sense of purpose in their methods, which is only reinforced by popular culture in our media, our music, eHarmony, our religion, etc. Articles of power. The term power has a lot of misapplied connotations to it. When we think of powerful people, we think of influence, wealth, prestige, status, and the ability to have others do our bidding. All those things, all of these are not power. As much as we'd like to convince ourselves that women are attracted to this definition of power, this is false. Because what I've described as aspects of power here are really manifestations of power. Here's a cosmic secret revealed for you. Real power is the degree to which a person has control over their own circumstances. Real power is the degree to which we actually control the directions of our lives. This is exactly what Stoicism is also teaching, right? This philosophy is also being very popular in Turkey right now. What it says is basically, although I don't agree a lot of the viewpoints of Stoicism, which is in and of itself is another video. But the basic premise of Stoicism is focus on the things that you can control, and do not lose your time focusing on things that you cannot control. A lot of us are focusing on the things that we cannot control, and we are not focusing on the things that we actually can control. And this is the dynamic of real power as well. I'm reading it again. Real power is the degree which a person has control over their own circumstances. Real power is the degree to which we actually control the directions of our lives. For you to have real power in your life, you need to have a degree of control for the direction of your life. And this is only possible when you realize you need to be on the center of your life, not a woman. You need to control your life of your own terms. You need to do what you want. You need to lead your life into a way that you really want, and you think is acceptable, and you think is appropriate, and you think is right. Not what your wife wants, not what your children wants, not what your pastor wants, not what your imam wants, not what your mother wants. They are to be considered, but in the end of the day, what truly matters is what you want. And that is the real power. When we allow our thinking, our personality disorders, and our mental schemas, combined with their accompanying behaviors, to determine the course of our decisions, we relinquish real power. The man who succumbs by force or by will to the responsibilities, liabilities, and accountabilities that are required of him by society, marriage, commitment, family, fatherhood, career choice, the military, etc., leaves him very little influence over the course of his own life. Exactly. I think I saw a tweet in English. It was saying, young men are called to solve the problems they themselves haven't caused. You do not have to solve problems that you did not cause. This is what everyone is wanting from you. They are giving you responsibilities, liabilities, accountabilities. That doesn't really have to be your concern. These things are given you by society, by marriage, commitments, family, fatherhood, career choice, military, everything. But nobody, or a very small minority of men, asking themselves, what do really I want? What do I really want? And maybe it is okay if that is not what you want. And staying in that situation, even though that is not what you really want, will be a torture for you. And maybe in order to try to be the good person, you will destroy your self-esteem. Maybe that ain't worth it. Maybe you are not the worst man out there if you don't want to stay in a marriage that your wife doesn't respect you, your children doesn't recognize you as their father. Maybe you are not the evil person if you don't want to stay in a career that you are not appreciated, that will not give you good benefits in life. Maybe you don't want to acknowledge the authority of your parents if they are not really considering your best interests. Maybe that is not the worst thing someone can do. Maybe that is actually a something that someone who has a self-esteem would do. That's why I don't like this idea of this idea of commitment for life under all conditions. in terms of marriage. Doesn't matter what happens, you have to stay in there. I discussed this with a pastor in the past. I think um, he told me, even if your wife cheats you, by the law of Moses, you have the right to leave, but that is not recommended. And as a good Christian, what you are supposed to do is to forgive your spouse and bring her closer to God, and live your life in a godly way. Maybe your wife don't respect you, doesn't see you as a man, don't desire you. Maybe you only get sex like one or two or three times in a year. Maybe your children hates you and everything. And maybe, like, imagine all the worst possible scenarios. But for him, as a pastor, is still what a godly man should do is to endure all that shit. And to that I say, I simply show the middle finger. Continue. The painter Paul Gauguin is one of history's most powerful men. At middle age, Paul was a successful banker with a wife and children, and by all appearances, a man of great merit and considerable wealth. Then one day, Paul decided he had enough and wanted to paint. He left his wife, children, and his money and decided he would be a painter. He cast off his former life to live the life he chose. He had the power to assume control of it. Eventually, he died in Tahiti, but not after having one of the most interesting of lives and becoming a world-renowned painter. You may think what a horrible man he was to abandon his responsibilities, to selfishly pursue his own desires, but the fact remains that he had the power within himself to do so that most men would shudder to even consider. So entrapped are we in our selfish expectation and self-imposed limitations that we fail to see that we have always had the keys to our own prisons. We're just scared shitless to use them. God, I have the chills right now. This is just awesome. I love this guy. The power is the root of all importance term confidence. We toss the power is the root of that all important term confidence we toss out every time we tell a 19-year-old chump what women really want so he can get laid. It's this ability to make our own decisions, right or wrong, and to confidently own them that separate us from other guys. It is this self-guided power that evokes a seemingly irrational confidence to spin plates, to date non-exclusively, to assert ourselves, and to be unafraid to make ourselves the prize. And it's just this power that women want to be associated with. A lack of this power is exactly what makes master pickup artists revert to some of the most pathetic AFCs once they become involved in an LTR. Yeah, I'm seeing this a lot. I have met with many pickup artists in Turkey. I haven't met them in person, but I encountered with them. I spoke with them. I get to know their mentality, their ideas. Some of them are pretty red-pilled, and some of them has still this tendency to make one itis to a woman. And this is exactly why the red pill is created. The pickup artists were out there. They found out the secrets of what makes a woman wet for you, but they soon found out that is not enough to sustain a good relationship. And if you don't understand what a woman is, what is her nature, and how to be adaptable to her nature, and how to live your life, and how to coexist with them, right? And that's why Red Pill is created. They sell women on this idealization and the perception that they possess this power, only to discover the AFC insecurities these behaviors were meant to cover up once they've bought the act. This isn't to devalue PUA skills as effective behavior sets. Rather, it's meant to illustrate the behaviors that should be manifest as a result of affecting a real personal challenge. It should be that adopting a positive masculine mental scheme prompts these PUA skills as a result. Instead, we have the cart before the horse in a mad rush to get that all important pussy we've been deprived of for so long by masking our deficit in real power and understanding with rote memorized PUA techniques, hoping that by practicing them, they'll turn into natural game and will mature enough to initiate a lasting personal change. We'll return to this later. All right. So we have been finished the cardinal rules of relationships. The first episode, we have read the soulmate myth. For the next episode, we are going to read the desire dynamic, which is one of the most important chapters you can understand as you want to internalize the red pill. The desire dynamic is one of the most important things you must understand. As we say all the times, I'm trying to say this almost in almost all of my episodes. You cannot negotiate genuine desire. And it is one of the, I can't stress this enough. The other day, I argued this because Rollo Tomassi says this. If a woman makes you wait for sex, a prostitute is a better alternative. There is a very important reason why this had been said, and that made a lot of women and woman-minded men go crazy. But when you initiate sex, any other mentality than genuine desire, any other motive than genuine desire, that becomes a transaction. And when it is a transaction, it is no different than what a prostitute does. I am sorry. What a prostitute does, there is a clear transaction. You want sex, she wants money, and she gives you sex, you give her money. She doesn't have sex with you because she really wants to have sex with you. What she really wants is the money. I have read this tweet the other day. A Canadian prostitute is saying, I have been going to these expensive trips, eating in the most luxurious restaurants and all this shit, going to spas and like everything a luxury life can provide, and like top shelf men are doing this for her. But in the end of the day, she knew she has to let the guy rape her body. This is the word that a prostitute is using. She feels like doesn't matter all the things that the guy is doing that involves money. She still feels like the guy rapes her, and she lets him to rape her body. You may think that when you exchange marriage and long-term commitments as a woman for a guy's desire to have sex, you may think that this is more innocent. But a lot of these women, when the time is passing, they feel exactly as this prostitute is feeling. They're gonna have to let their husbands rape their body, because a woman's biology, a woman's nature is feeling like when she's having sex with a man, any other motive than genuine burning desire, she is letting him to rape her body. You may think, oh, all the religious doctrines, the holy books are commending her to have sex with you whenever you want. It's not going to matter. She still feel like that. There are women out there who's having sex with their husbands, not that this is what they really want, but they're so afraid for a like divine judgment if they don't, and they secretly go their bathrooms and they cry because they hate what had happened. They hate the experience so much, but they feel what this could do, what this would mean. They feel guilty. They feel guilty. They feel that they're sinful because this is not what they really wanted. And it is a very awful life. And I wouldn't want this to anyone. I wouldn't want it for my sister, and I wouldn't want it for my if I would have any daughter. I would like the woman in my family to be with a man because they really want to be with that man, not for other alternative motives, because this is what it will eventually evolve into. And this is why I don't like this trad con movement, because eventually what they're doing is negotiating the genuine burning desire, but instead of them doing the negotiation, they put God to do the negotiation for them. And genuine burning desire cannot be negotiated. Even it is God himself who makes the negotiation. All right, guys? I'll talk about this more deeply in the future. Okay, I have been streaming for 57 minutes by now. And 4 person is following on YouTube, 1 on Twitch, 90 on Twitter. Please like my video, guys, and please, as you watch this video after this video is finished, please go and comment on it so you would help me. It really works. It really helps for the platform to put me forward. Anyway, do you have any other questions? You can also ask this in Turkish. Arkadaşlar, sonuna geldik yavaşça. Sorularınız varsa Türkçe'de sorabilirsiniz. Okay. Sizi bekleyeceğim biraz. I will wait for you. Okay, I guess that's it. I guess this is all. All right. Thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you so much for being in my stream. 93 people has been with me along all this time. Thank you so much for each and every one of you. If you are understanding right now everything that I'm saying, and if this is difficult for you to understand me, but you still stuck with me, you still came all this way, and you have been with me all this time. Thank you so much. Please make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel if you aren't, and comment on it. Tell me what you like about it. Tell me what you don't like about it. You can criticize me as much as you want, under the condition of being respectful, of course. All right. Thank you so much. See you in the next video. Peace. Godspeed.